Good job. Okay, so roughly this time last year, I gave a service about critical race theory. I wrote a big, long speech debunking talking points that irritated me. And then I watched Bob Davis's service in which he said that UUs should give services instead of TED Talks. Whoops. Okay, I can do that. I decided for this service, I would give more of a service, less of a TED Talk. Youth, activism, and spirituality. Okay, I can do that. Most importantly, I promised myself I would be less angry in this one. Sure, I could definitely do that. I don't know if you guys know about something that happened a little over a week ago, but I think I have a right to be angry. So, just as a disclaimer, you will be getting exactly what you expected from me. I apologize for not being able to shake it up this time. All right. Last year, when I started college, I made an amazing group of friends that some of them are watching right now, hi, that introduced me to the Sunrise Movement. For those of you that aren't familiar, the Sunrise Movement prides itself in trying to stop climate change while making millions of good-paying jobs in the process. They specifically focus on passing legislation for a Green New Deal and electing politicians who promise to prioritize climate change in the legislature. I had never heard of it before. Sounds great. Sign me up. I went to my first meeting, and one of the icebreakers was to tell people why you felt that you needed to be there. Everyone sitting in my small group told their harrowing stories of the climate catastrophe. Wildfires in California, freezes in Texas, hurricanes in New York, tornadoes in Tennessee. One of the leaders in our hub asked me, and I told him that Phoenix faced record-breaking heat every single summer. I almost felt like I didn't have as good of a reason as everyone else. My house wasn't demolished by a tornado. I didn't lose electricity in the middle of an unprecedented winter storm. It just became unbearably hot every day last summer. But when he shared what he heard from the group, the first thing he brought up was that someone told him Phoenix, Arizona surpassed 115 degrees nearly every day in June last summer. Someone who had heard all of these terrifying stories of the climate crisis took the struggle of our community seriously. I felt truly heard, and I knew that everyone there knew we all had something to lose, whether it's a devastating, unanticipated natural disaster or a steadily worsening season of an increasingly harmful force. We made community in our acknowledgement of each other's vulnerabilities. Now, I don't know about you, but community is a major part of my feelings of spirituality. Part of the reason I left my old church was because it didn't feel like anyone there truly knew me. There was no coffee hour, no opportunities to get to know anyone. It's very different here. I feel like a part of something bigger than myself when I enter this space. I feel the same way when I'm with a group of people fighting for something that we know is bigger than us. We had our first major action a month after I moved into college, and not gonna lie, it was pretty badass. We marched down Pennsylvania Avenue, stopped at the White House, and then walked all the way to the Capitol. Our plan was to have several of us risk arrest by blocking the door to several Senate office buildings, including the one of a particular filibuster-loving Arizona senator. My friends did exactly that. I wish I could have, but unfortunately, I had a math quiz in the afternoon. I felt so powerful and so connected to something bigger than me. Prayer never really worked for me as a means of practicing any kind of faith, but being there and fighting for my planet did. I remember texting Reverend Christine that we sang "Where You Go, I Will Go." It can't get more UU faithful than that. Many of my friends did get arrested that day. I can look back on it and laugh now, watching the videos and the pictures, but watching my friends get thrown in a paddy wagon did a number on me. It broke my heart to watch people in my community taken away from me by the Capitol Police, who weren't exactly nice to us. Don't let all the January 6th rhetoric fool you. There's still cops who brought out dozens of police for about 20 peaceful protesters standing in front of a few doors. But I digress. All I could do was hold them in my heart and go take my math quiz. Keep in mind, they were all young white people, so they all made it out okay, but it pains me to know that the people I love were in the hands of people who held so much resentment toward us. It was a lot of emotion for me to process, but I knew that they were doing what they needed to do to contribute to something bigger. Oh. I then took a writing class in the spring called Communicating Climate Justice, and our first assignment was essentially the "why are you here" question, but this time it was a little different. We had to focus on different facets of our identity rather than just where we grew up. This was a little piece of what I wrote. I am a young adult, and I still have quite a while left to live on this planet. I do not think it is too much to ask for it to be inhabitable. It pains me to think that the city I grew up in might be one of the first to be a complete wasteland because of the climate crisis. I am also a Unitarian Universalist, very loosely defined as a religion. And the 8 principles we promote also brought me to climate justice. The 7th principle, particularly, states that we practice respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. This can signify quite a few things, but respect for the earth that we live on feels like a no-brainer. We are all a part of this one earth, and respecting each other means respecting that earth. I follow that principle. I must not only show my individual love for the planet we live on, but I must urge others to respect it as well, especially those causing the most harm. My faith adds this element of spiritual urgency to my work in climate justice, and it certainly plays a role in every action I take. Guys, the service basically wrote itself. This is kind of a chicken or the egg situation. Did Unitarian Universalism make me an environmentalist, or did environmentalism make me a Unitarian Universalist? I guess we'll never know. But we do say every time we are here that service is our prayer. Marching and making people sign petitions telling our university to please stop taking money from ExxonMobil and just showing up is my prayer. I can't do everything, and I'm not always the activist I want to be, but I tell myself that finding a way to get in the loop is enough. I do what I can when I can. That is my prayer. This kind of brings me to the present day. When Samuel Alito's decision leaked in May, I was on the train to the Supreme Court within an hour. It happened to be during finals week, which is quite possibly the worst timing ever. So I couldn't do everything I wanted to do. I went that night for a little while, but I certainly couldn't stay as long as everyone else since I had a constitutional law final in the morning. Funny coincidence. I did what I could when I could. The most important thing I like to keep in mind is that while I need to contribute to something bigger than myself, it is in fact bigger than myself. I don't need to stand outside the Supreme Court for hours every single day when I have a term paper to write and it's raining and I'm about 2 chants away from complete burnout. It's bigger than me. Those who can do what I can't will pick up the slack. That is what community is about. If there's anything you take away from this, it is that you do not have to carry the world on your shoulders. There's something out there that can catch you when you fall. All of this is bigger than you.